Alright guys, what is going on? I am Connor Recon, and today I am bringing you episode 7 of GTA Car Versus, the Vapid Dominator versus the Imponte Phoenix. So, this was the viewer suggested one. Like I said, I was going to bring it to you guys, and I hope I delivered on this. So, yeah, let's get started. So the Imponte Phoenix versus the Vapid Dominator. Alright, so we have the Dominator on-road handling test, and I gotta say, when I saw that these were both muscle cars, I was figuring, alright, you know, both of these cars, yeah, they're gonna be terrible, but the Dominator was actually performing surprisingly well for a muscle car, and I'd argue to say that its handling is actually really decent. All you have to do is just cut the corners correctly, and you should not go flying, but yeah, see, I didn't really have too much trouble with the Dominator. It was pretty much a smooth ride for the most part. However, NPCs kept spawning in this one location right there, so I had to keep running them over. I tried to honk the horn previously, but that didn't work out, so yeah. So as you can see, there's basically little damage on the car, so pretty happy about that, and I'd say the Dominator performed really well. Alright guys, now we're doing the Phoenix on-road handling test, and yeah, it how do I word this? It kinda sucked, the handling. It was pretty bad, and not gonna lie, I have a Phoenix, a personal Phoenix that is fully upgraded, but it's bad when it's in the default version, and mine is fully upgraded, so it's actually a lot better. But this is just, you see constant just bumping into things, and it's just, it's very clunky. However, it really does, it's a muscle car, like I said. You know, both of these are muscle cars. They don't specify in turning or handling in general, but still, I'd say this is on the lower end of handling if, like, we listed all the muscle cars from best to worst handling. This is definitely on the lower end. It's really not too good. I mean, look, how do you even bump into that? I tried my best to drift around that, but it just didn't happen. So, guys, as you can tell, the Dominator definitely handled better on this test. Alright guys, now we are doing the Dominator off-road handling test. So, just like its on-road counterpart, it actually performed pretty decently for a muscle car off-road, which is pretty surprising considering this track consists of a lot of turns. So, it didn't stay on track, and yes, I did run over this biker because he was in my way, so, you know, what are you gonna do about it? But, it didn't stay on track, so I wouldn't go as to say this is a pretty decently handling car off-road that would have your back if you were in a high-speed police chase off-road, but it's not terrible. So it's between terrible and decent, so it's like okay, if that makes any sense, because as you can see guys, it kind of isn't staying on the track, and when I try to turn, some turns go well, some turns kind of go haywire. It's really a mixed bag of what you're gonna get. So it also depends on how you go off a ramp and stuff like that. But for the most part, this car it handled pretty decently, okay, like I said before, and it kind of it usually smashed into edges, and it did wipe out right there. But that is pretty expected of a muscle car, considering that it is basically designed to go straight. So, yeah. So as we're finishing up the test here, I think I make this turn pretty good. I actually nearly dodged hitting that security officer, so I was pretty lucky that I didn't do that. And like I said guys, the handling on this car off-road is pretty decent. Alright guys, now going on to the Phoenix off-road handling test. it was not that good, not gonna lie. Yet again, the Phoenix has failed to impress me in this test. It wasn't that good at all. Right here, it handles the turn pretty well, so it sets up the appearance that it does pretty well. But yeah, as you can see, there was even trouble getting around that small turn, going over the jump and regaining balance, or I guess, I can't think of the word, regaining stability, there we go. And even then I wiped out, kind of like the BF Jet injection versus the Rat Loader video, so it was pretty, yeah, it was kind of disappointing. I mean, some turns it handles pretty well, and I mean, it's kind of like the Vapid Dominator, where it's a mixed bag, but except this is more leaning towards the screwed up turns. Even then, see, it's pretty hard to keep it on the track. So, and this one especially, I think this handled it pretty decently. So, I mean, it's kind of tough to call whether the Dominator or the Phoenix has the edge here, because both did pretty poorly, but one was more poor than the other, but at the same time they weren't, because they were both a mixed bag of turns. Like here, I barely cut the turn, but then again, you know, I kind of almost wipe out there, hit the wall. I mean, like I said, it's a mixed bag. You can't really determine here. It's actually really hard for me to determine whether, you know, which car is actually worse in terms of handling. So, I'm gonna call these cars equal on terms of they're both really bad off-road, unless you get like off-road tires, but otherwise, yeah, they're both bad. Alright guys, so now we're moving on to the Dominator damage resistance test. So, yeah, it resisted pretty well in terms of resisting the bullets, and it came out to a pretty decent resistance amount, and it was 169 bullets to blow it up. Now moving on to the Phoenix, this actually resisted a little bit more. I believe it was 197 bullets, so it was pretty good. So the Phoenix did resist more bullets. Guys, so now we are doing the Dominator speed test. So, this was actually pretty typical for a default, unupgraded, otherwise, you know, unperformance enhancing upgraded car. And it was pretty decent. It actually was decent and average for kind of all the other cars we tested on this episode. And it did pretty well in terms of getting to the other end of the airfield. I mean, it could have gone a little bit faster, but in the end result, it was 27.32 seconds. So going on to the Phoenix one. Alright guys, so we're moving on to the Phoenix speed test here. And like its Dominator counterpart, it was pretty decent for a muscle car. And it was actually pretty average for most of the cars that we have done on this series. So, it was around, it was kind of actually hard to measure the time for this, because I actually stopped and then started the stopwatch on my phone again, so I had to subtract some seconds. So, yeah, this is actually pretty close, and it came out to 28 seconds. So that was pretty close, guys. So overall, the Dominator is faster. Alright guys, so the Dominator is the winner for this episode. If you want to see more GTA 5 content and content in general, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, and possibly leave a comment. One more thing, if you guys are wondering where I get my music from, it's no copyright sounds, and I'm going to have a link in the description. Thank you for your time. I'm Connor Recon, and I'm signing out, guys. Peace.